Do you have a father? Is it weird having two mothers? Does it make you uncomfortable when your mothers kiss in front of you or your friends? I have dealt with these questions my entire life. Yes, I have a father. No, it's not weird having two mothers. No, their kissing does not make me uncomfortable. Although I can only say that now because I'm older and understand and accept their relationship. Our family started off as you would expect. My mom married my father and gave birth to me and my little brother Ben, all in the name of normalcy. They were married for 10 years and separated when I was 4. My brother was 6 months old. In those years, we celebrated birthdays and holidays. We went to family gatherings and on family field trips. We laughed, loved, and played. It was a good time in our lives, and I'll never forget it. My mother tried so hard to keep our family together. If you deny something long enough, maybe it'll go away, right? Wrong. My mom found that it only gets worse, and she felt so guilty for denying herself the one thing that would make her happy that she began to resent my father through no fault of his own. I was very young when my mother had introduced me to her first girlfriend. To be honest, I really thought nothing of it. I was only 6 or 7 at the time, and at that age I really only cared about watching Disney movies and eating candy. The idea of homosexuality was too much for my brain to comprehend. I never remember asking my mother directly about her homosexuality. She just carried on with life, like nothing was different, because in reality, it wasn't different. They were still loving parents who cared for me deeply, and I was still disciplined when I made poor life decisions. We celebrated holidays and birthdays together. We did everything that normal families do. So really, there was nothing different. I wasn't a popular teenager in high school, and when my biggest, deepest, darkest secret came out that my mother was gay, bullying became a part of my daily existence on campus. There was an explosion of name-calling and taunting when this secret hit the high school airwaves. Needless to say, I became a social pariah overnight. A particularly painful comment made by many of my classmates was, "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree," implying, of course, that because my mother was gay, I would follow in her footsteps. These accusations were exacerbated by my proclivity to excel within the athletic arena. I was fantastic at softball, and I adored my team. But the stereotype of softball players being lesbians painted me further into a homosexual corner, and it eventually caused me to quit the team and pursue more heterosexual physical education. I remember joining the dance team. Looking back on my time in high school, I'm grateful that social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr weren't around to make my situation more public. It was painful enough to have 3,000 classmates judging me, and I can't imagine dealing with an entire globe of judgment if my situation had gone viral. Unfortunately, for most victims of bullying today, Facebook, Twitter, and various other social media sites exist and are rife with trolls, waiting for a chance to push others down. So the question arises then, how do we combat bullying inside and outside the classroom, and instill a sense of community and tolerance? Thus far in the semester, we've spent time going over various internet videos featured in fame and fallout in video culture. In this set of horrifying videos, one stood out, making the bus monitor cry. It reminded me of the vicious accusations and careless labels placed on me during my teen years, and my heart bled for Karen Klein's situation. No one should have to be subjected to such degrading behavior, and it is hard to believe that not one person stepped in to protect this woman. The enormous outpouring of support after the video surfaced has been overwhelming, but it doesn't erase what happened that day on the bus. How do we stop bullying before it starts? In the United States, it was estimated that there was 50 million students attending public schools K-12 in 2013. According to the StopBullying.gov site, 28% of students in grades 6 through 12 have experienced bullying, which means that upwards of 7 million children have been subjected to some form of degradation or humiliation at the hands of a fellow classmate. An even more shocking statistic from the StopBullying.gov site states that 30% of young people admit to bullying others, which translates to 7.5 million bullies circulating through our education system in 2013. This has become quite the epidemic, and with the advent of social media and a certain level of online anonymity, bullying has only become easier to perpetrate. Looking back at Karen Klein's abusive treatment on the bus, the students managed to stay off the camera, maintaining a level of anonymity, which bolstered their courage to act out in more vicious ways. There have been attempts at combating the growing epidemic through websites such as StopBullying.gov, StopBullyingNowFoundation.org, and ItGetsBetter.org. Each website has had its fair share of success, and each has taken great strides towards ending bullying by offering various statistics and ways for parents and teachers to reach students. But there still seems to be a call to help stem the bullying tidal wave. I wonder if they've considered making anti-bullying education part of the curriculum, rather than a separate program or action outside of the classroom. Can't the teaching of tolerance and inclusion happen within the classroom rather than outside it? Also, shouldn't the bullying end with the students? Rather than forcing teachers, parents, and fellow classmates to be bullying police officers, shouldn't we provide students with the tools to make better choices? By delegating watchdogs, kids are only going to come up with more creative ways to bully others without getting caught. We need to stop it at the source by promoting connection, tolerance, and empathy. I believe that young adult literature is the answer to bullying that we have been waiting for all of these years. Each novel deals with bullying in a different and creative way. Some of these novels are Sherman Alexie's Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, Janine Garci's Before, After, and Somebody in Between, Elisa Valdez Rodriguez's Haters, Frank Pertman's King Dork, and Jay Asher's 13 Reasons Why, just to name a few. In the article, Recognize the Signs Reading Young Adult Literature to Address Bullying, Christine Pitash, Denise Morgan, and Catherine Batchelor claim that anti-bullying programs often identify teachers as the first line of defense, but many teachers do not recognize bullying situations. They also suggest that young adult literature can help bridge the gap by placing readers on the same level of the victims they read about. They also claim that readers can see firsthand how a comment can cut, an action can damage, or a rumor can destroy. This can also prepare teachers, pre-service and veteran, to recognize the signs of bullying and to act. Although I agree with using young adult literature to inform decision-making on bullying, I think that this practice needs to extend beyond the teachers. These books should also be read by the students and then discussed within the classroom. Educating teachers on bullying identification seems to be a waste of time when it has become apparent that efforts to end bullying need to be directed at the source, which is the students. In Donna Miller's article, Tough Talk as an Antidote to Bullying, bullying is portrayed differently than in P. Tash Morgan and Batchelor's article, insomuch that most bullying that occurs is away from the eyes of prying adults who would intervene on the victim's behalf. P. Tash and the others lead readers to believe that a teacher or authority figure is always available in order to stop bullying. But Miller argues that locker rooms, hallways, and other school locales not populated by teachers are often places where bullies emerge. In order to address the bullying epidemic, Miller suggests using young adult literature in the classroom because young adult literature works to build empathy. Miller goes on to say that young adult literature is effective because it features characters and issues adolescent readers can easily identify with. The texts are relevant and relatable, which is crucial when it comes to winning the war on bullying. We have to appeal to students on a level that they can understand, otherwise all efforts to end bullying are for naught. Later in her article, Miller suggests using K.L. Going's YA novel King of the Screw-Ups as a tool to invite ethical conversations about bullying, LGBTQ issues, and abusive behaviors because it allows students to examine life from all its black and white and shadowy angles. By allowing young adult literature into the classroom, teachers invite conversation about tough topics, and it allows teachers the chance to model and guide students through this tumultuous time in their lives. Donna Miller's claims are further supported in Carol Hillsberg and Helene Spake's article, Young Adult Literature as a Centerpiece of an Anti-Bullying Program in Middle School. Hillsberg and Spake claim that in order for young adult literature to be effective against bullying, it must be readable, appropriate in its address of the issue, and relevant to young adolescent lives. Hillsberg and Spake go on to say that if the literature deals with the terrible consequences of bullying, it could help the victim and the bully. The victim may derive comfort or coping strategies from reading about another in a similar situation. In addition, the bully might identify with the fictional victim, leading to empathy and the possibility for change. Although Miller, Hillsberg, and Spake agree about the role young adult literature should play in the classroom, Hillsberg and Spake go on to suggest that other supplemental bullying curricula may be necessary to drive the point home. Hillsberg and Spake suggest having anti-bullying speakers out to share their experiences in the hope that it would further promote anti-bullying attitudes on school campuses. Another idea is to have school drama clubs put on theater productions about bullying and the detriment that it poses to the school morale. The question remains, how do we implement young adult literature in the classroom? With the expectations of Common Core and the novels required in classes, how do we fit this into the curriculum? Options available to teachers are literature circles that will eventually lead to classroom discussion, silent reading at the beginning of class, or homework where students can keep a journal about their readings. This, of course, will all be decided based on necessity and comfortability. Some teachers may feel the need to be completely involved, while others may have students explore the literature at their own pace. For Nancy Himmel, a teacher that I observe at Paramount High School, she chooses to use silent reading. For the first 12 minutes of class, the students read books that appeal to them. After the reading period ends, she provides journal prompts that deal with a wide range of issues such as regret, hurting others, and maybe the student's disappointment with the character's choices. All of this provides students with a connection to their novel, as well as cultivates empathy and acceptance. Moving on to other research, while searching around online, I found a great example of a young adult literature circle, the idea on a Yale website. Students choose from a novel that's provided by the teacher, and they form groups that will read different novels from other groups in the class. Each student is assigned a role to get through the novel. These roles range from discussion coordinator, questioner, summarizer, researcher, quoter, illustrator, definer, and scene setter. Each student will bring the novel to life in their own unique way. All of these positions offer many different modes to connect and cultivate empathy. The teacher needs only to find effective and engaging novels. Through my research, I have found that identification, relevance, and empathy building are key to educating students about bullying. Not only can young adult literature help bullies understand the perspective of their victim, but it can also offer comfort to the victims by showing them that they're not alone. For years, the education system has tried to promote the watchdog, no bystander policy. I still see commercials for it on Cartoon Network from time to time. And although it is a step in the right direction, it isn't enough to completely stop the harassment of young students. Young adult literature in the classroom offers students the unique opportunity to explore different modes of thinking without judgment or fear, while also promoting literacy and self-discovery. I wonder if those children in the Making the Bus Monitor Cry video were exposed to empathy, if they would have thought twice about picking on Karen Klein.